If my eye gets really red during the course of this video, it's because I keep messing with it. It's itchy because my fringe is still a bit too long and it keeps, oh my god, emo. You know, I'm going to see Dan and Phil next week. Maybe I should just go like this and trigger everybody. Anyway, what was I saying? Hello everybody, my name is Vero, this is Vero Reads, and today I want to do 2 book tags that I found here on YouTube that are specifically related to the new year, reading goals, etc. I chose these 2 book tags because I would really like to have a tag that I do at the beginning of every year, and I found these 2 tags and they have similar themes but quite different questions, so I wanted to do both of them, and I just wanted to see how I like them and if maybe I'll do them next year as well. So let's start with the first book tag. The first book tag is called the Jan-uary book tag, and this book tag has been going on for about 4 years, I want to say. I will link Jen's 2025 video of this tag below and up here if I remember how to do that. I will put all of the questions for both of the tags down below. The first question is, what were the last and the first books you read in 2024? So the first book I read was A Woman of Pleasure by Kyoko Murata. I don't remember the translator, but I will put it somewhere here. A great start to the year, very check the content warnings type of book, but I really liked how it was written. I really liked the characters, I really liked the story. It was a funny, heartbreaking, interesting book, and I really liked that it was a start of a really good reading year for me. The last book I read was Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan, because everybody was talking about that book because it's a really Christmassy book. It's set during Christmas Eve. It's also very wintry because it's set during Christmas Eve, but in general, like, it's in a really cold place. It deals with struggling through winter, and then even when you're struggling, you still need to remind yourself who you are and what type of person you want to be. It's really short, so I don't want to give too much away, and also everybody was talking about it literally like 3 weeks ago, so you'll probably know what I'm talking about. But it was a great book to end the year. Really 2 great start and end of a really good reading year, so I'm really happy with those. The second question is, what is the first book you're reading in 2025? And the first book I read was The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry for my Short Classics book club. That was our January pick. I hadn't read it for a while, and it's still a banger. You know, I highly recommend to anybody. Again, short, sweet, but also heart-wrenching, and we had such a great discussion during the book club. So I might do a separate video for that book, not just a review, but I really want to share what cool discussions came up during the book club, so I might do a video about that later on. But it was really interesting. The third question is, share 3 of the reading goals that you have for this year. I made a whole video about it. I will link it somewhere, so I will not share those goals, but one thing that I can share is just, it's not really a goal, it's just something that I'm trying to do. That I have this is my physical TBR, like just this shelf here. It is quite big, but it's not daunting to me at the moment. What is slightly daunting is my Storygraph TBR, because I got in a frenzy towards the end of the year, and I just started adding, because everybody was recommending, and you know, it's that time where everybody's like, oh, best books of last year, or best new releases and stuff like that. So there's a lot of great books being talked about in the ether, and so I got in a frenzy and I added loads. So that's a bit concerning, but it's also exciting because I made a full-on bingo for just that specific TBR. If I read a book that fills one of these prompts but it's not from that TBR, I cannot cross this off. This is just from that TBR. I wanted something colorful and fun, and that would, remind me to check my virtual TBR. So I have that going on for 2025 on top of the goals that I've talked about in my last video. The fourth question is share 3 of your most anticipated titles for 2025, and in all honesty, I have no idea. I don't really pay attention to new releases. The only thing that makes me focus on new releases is my NetGalley account. And I have a couple of, there's the new Han Kang book that I'm really interested about. There's this book called Water Moon that I'm really interested about. But it's not the sense of, oh my god, I've been waiting. But there are a couple of books that I am really excited about. But they're not new releases. It's just that they're gonna be published in the UK for the first time. One is The Message by Ta-Nehisi Coates. It came out last year in the US and everybody was talking about it, and it sounded so interesting, and it was only in the US. And I didn't want to have it sent here, knowing that it comes out in February. So I was okay with waiting a little bit and then just getting it from a bookstore here. And then also there is the Saint of Steel series by T. Kingfisher that has been published a while back in the USA, but it's not been published in the UK yet. And I didn't know this because I read the first book through my library, because my library just had a copy, but that's the only book they have. And so again, I really don't like buying from the US knowing that it's gonna get published in the UK quite soon, and it comes out in April. So I'm happy to wait, but I'm really excited to read that. But yeah, these are not new releases, but they are new releases for the UK publishers. If you see me go like this, I have my laptop there with the questions. Fifth question is, what goals did you reach or not reach last year? I did not really give myself many goals last year. Overall, I wanted to be really, really free with my reading mindset. I did not want to tell myself you need to read this type of books, this amount of books from these sources in this way. I just wanted to see how it would affect my reading habits, because I had the suspicion that if I gave myself complete freedom and complete acceptance of my reading habits, it would help me. I'm really not motivated by constrictions or deadlines or achievements. I grow with nurturing and support, and so I just gave myself unconditional support in my reading habits, and it really helped, because at the beginning of the year there were, I think, 2 or 3 months where I did not read any single book. Well, I did not finish any one book, but then after that it just picked up from 0 to 100, and I was reading constantly because I had that pressure took off of my shoulder of, oh, I don't have to read, I get to read. So that was really cool, and it really paid off. Question number 6 is, are there any new releases that you've heard of that you have no desire to read? And I have to say most new releases, because I need to have zero hype around me in order to read a book. If a book has too much hype, I don't want to read it automatically. Once the hype is done, I want to jump on it, but if the hype is real, I want to stay away. And that's why I have not yet read Babel. If there's a new release that's unhyped, then I might be interested, but if there's a huge hype around it, I'm okay. I can wait. I can wait for it to die down, the heads to cool, true opinions to come about, because a lot of the time the hype makes people not be very objective or not feel safe in sharing their genuine opinion, whether it be good or bad. Question number 7 is, what are some reading habits that you would like to change this year, if any? One thing that I wanna not necessarily change, but I wanna introduce, is to have longer chunks of time when I'm just reading, because at the moment I read a little bit before bed or in snippets of time whenever I find them. But I really miss the feeling of you have an afternoon and you're just reading for like 4 hours. I've done that a couple of times in the past year. It just happened naturally and I love that. So I'm really looking forward to maybe carve out some specific time to read and have longer chunks of time when I read. I know that on Booktube there's gonna be a lot of read-along live streams. I'm looking forward to those to push me to do this thing that I'd like to do. Question number 8 is, are there any adaptations that you're excited about? And the only thing that comes to mind is Frankenstein by Guillermo del Toro. I really like Frankenstein, the 1818 text. I read both and I have to admit that I like the 1818 text more than the 1836 text. But why am I talking about this? No, I really like Frankenstein. I really like Guillermo del Toro as a filmmaker and I'm excited about that. I think it's gonna be spooky and I love that. Question number 9 is favorite bookish memory from last year. And I have to say, just getting to talk about books with a lot of new people. In real life, I've met a lot of new people that I really like talking about books with. My book club, for example. And online, I started Booktube. So I want to say, like, this is a big part of my reading experience at the moment. And I love it. It's been really fun. It's still so much fun. So, knock on wood. It stays fun. Then question number 10 is, any carryover books from last year? The only thing I have is I started this book called Magic Has No Borders. It's a collection of short stories, YA short stories about South Asian inspired folk tales. That's the only thing I'm carrying over from last year. There's nothing else. Absolutely nothing else. By the way, this is really cool. I don't usually read YA, but loving this. Nothing else to report. And that was the Jan-uary book tag. Thank you so much to the original creator. It was fun to reflect on these questions. On to the second book tag. The second book tag I want to try out is the New Year, New Me book tag. It was made this year by Kevin Toll Reads. I just looked up Jan-uary book tag and this came up and it sounds very cool. I really like the questions, so let's dive in. Each of these questions has a theme, I want to say, or a prompt. First one is fears. What is one book from your 2025 reading goals that scares you? And as you remember, I showed you my reading bingo. This is my virtual TBR. So it's just the one that I have on Storygraph. And there is and there is one prompt which is oldest addition to the TBR. That oldest addition to the TBR is The Count of Monte Cristo. So if I want a bingo this year, I have to read The Count of Monte Cristo. I already want to read The Three Musketeers this year because of Katja's Reading the Globe Classics readathon. I will link her below. It's a great readathon. I'm really excited about it. And for the months of January, February, we're reading The Three Musketeers. Daunting. Really daunting. I don't know if you can tell by analyzing my bookshelves, but I like short books. I really like short books. Any big book that you see here is probably not mine. That's not true. I do read some big books, but not many. So the thought of reading both The Three Musketeers and The Count of Monte Cristo this year, that's a fear. That's fully a fear. That's fully panic mode. We'll see. I don't have to read them, but that's the plan. Number 2 is patient. What is one book from your 2025 reading goals that you want to start immediately? And that is anything by Olga Tokarczuk. One of my reading goals is to read more books by Olga Tokarczuk. And at this point, I don't know why I'm not currently in this moment reading a book by Olga Tokarczuk, because she has a new book that's come out last year called The Impusium, something like that. That sounds so cool. I have friends that are reading other books by Olga Tokarczuk. Anything Olga Tokarczuk really like ping 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 in my brain. But I'm not reading any Olga Tokarczuk. Maybe that's why I'm inching very slowly towards a reading slump, because my brain is like, where is my Olga Tokarczuk? And I'm like, it's not here. You have so many books. Why do you need an Olga Tokarczuk? We have Olga Tokarczuk at home. But yeah, I think I just need to buy the bullet and go buy Flights. It's from the Fitzcarraldo editions, which, for the people who know, it would check 2 boxes on my reading goals. Third question is growth. What book last year pushed you to grow and reflect as a reader? It was The Unfortunates by J.K. Chukwu, because it's a book that... Oh, there you go. This was an arc, so this is not the end copy. I will put the end copy here. But as you can see from the book, it's mixed medium. Like you have a novel, but also you have like emails, there's, you know, graphics, there's some, like, basically this book reminded me how cool it is to read novels that are, I call them mixed media, but I don't know if that's the correct definition of it. There was another book that I read like years ago now that was called Elamino P, that played really well with form, and this really reminded me that sometimes in order for a story to really be what it is, it needs to not be just words, or not even that, it needs to be plasmatic. I don't know what my brain is trying to say in this moment, but when I read this book, I said the best way to write this story is in this way. Like, and it was so interesting to pay attention to the details of this book and see why everything was done in the way it was done. This book really activated my critical theory of literature, part of my brain. And I cannot stop thinking about this book. I cannot stop talking about this book. And nobody else has freaking read it! Like, nobody in real life has read this book. I hear nobody talk about this book. Why? Can anybody please read this book? And then come talk to me about it, please. So yeah, this was really impactful. I really like doing videos near my bookshelves. I really like being able to pew pew pew, you know. Question number 4 is new paths. What is one author that you would like to try for the first time in 2025? And that is Akwaeke Emezi, because everybody's talking about them. Everybody's talking about them, and they sound so cool. And I think they have a new book coming out, or that has just come out, and it feels like a great author to discover. They are a queer author, a non-binary author, and that's something that really excites me. Also, talking about now that I'm here, talking about queer authors, there you go, Andrew Joseph White. I need to get on with this. I've had this for a while. It's been on my TBR for a while, and it's cool. Oh, love to see that. This is expensive. This is ink. This is effort. This is somebody putting effort in our relationship as an author and reader, and publisher and reader, you know. So yeah, I need to get on with this. Akwaeke Emezi. I want to start probably with Freshwater. I think it was their debut novel. I know they have some YA. I think Pet and Bitter. I don't remember which comes first, but Pet and Bitter. And also, Little Rot is the new one that they have out. So these 2 authors I've never read, but they've been on my radar, and now I think I need to go there. The next prompt is self-care. What is one book or series that you revisit for comfort? I don't know what it says about me, but it's probably The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. It's just a great book, okay? It's just a great book. I read it last year and the year before, and I read it in January, both times in January, and I really want to read it now. And I might because it's just, I feel like it has a lot to say to me still. So yeah, probably that one. The next prompt is forging ahead. What is your favorite debut book or series that you read for the first time last year? This is not her debut novel, but I've read The Witch Would Not, which is the first in the Victorian fairy tales, I think that's the name of the series, by Olivia Atwater. I loved that book. I really loved that book, to the point where I was meaning to read more Olivia Atwater books, but I just didn't. I need to put that on my TBR, on my virtual TBR, because it's something that, again, I keep forgetting that that's one thing I want to do, but I will go back to it eventually. But that's something that, yeah, I really liked. Remarkable. Next prompt is goals. Do you have a specific challenge or goal for the year ahead? I did a whole video about it, but the number one goal I have for this year is that at the end of 2025, I want to have read at least 50% books by authors of color. That's just the journey I'm on at the moment. That's what I'm focusing on. Anything else is just an add-on. That's the only goal that I'm actually working actively towards, and it's really fun. The past couple of weeks, it's been really fun. Next prompt is breaking walls. Do you have a non-book related 2025 goal that you want to share? I want to start swimming. Swimming is not super accessible to me, so I need to make it a point to go swimming, and I want to do that in 2025. Okay, last prompt for the second book tag is teamwork, which is just to tag other people. And I tag everybody. Everybody that wants to do this tag can do it. You're very welcome. I would really be interested, especially my mutuals. I'm really interested in hearing your answers to these questions. Thank you so much for listening to me, and I really like this. I might start filming from this angle more often. Thank you to the creators of these two book tags. I will leave everything below. I will leave the questions. I will leave their channels. So go check them out. And thank you so much for listening. I will see you next time. Bye bye.